Alright, so I just wanted to show how the enemy might be encoding the upcoming new moon in a couple of music videos and films. So let me start with Leave the World Behind. And that film opens with this scene, and in this scene, the husband is lying in the bed, and there's this big blue wall here, and on the left side, the lamp is lit, and on the right side, the lamp is dark. And I believe what this is showing is the blue moon of August when it was in the third quarter phase. A third quarter phase moon is actually like, it looks like a half moon with the left side lit, just like this, okay? And that's what we see here. We see that the left lamp is lit and the right lamp is dark, and that's of course symbolizing a third quarter moon, which is basically a moon that's 50% lit and it's lit on the left side, just like we saw in Stellarium. And if you look in Stellarium, where the moon was in the sky when it was exactly 50% lit, it was here in the constellation of Taurus, and it was right next to the Pleiades star cluster, which is a cluster of 7 stars. And if you look on his nightstand, you've got this coffee cup that has a 7 kind of highlighted here, and it's right below a circle of stars, like a star cluster or something. So I think that's symbolizing the Pleiades star cluster. So that just reinforces this astrosymbolic hint here. So yeah, this first scene is showing you that third quarter moon. It's the third quarter of the blue moon. Okay, which, like I said, that's why they have the blue wall right here. And that occurred on August 26th. All right, so after that scene in Leave the World Behind, the whole family hops in the car and they start driving to, I guess it's Charleston Harbor, wherever they were vacationing. And in the car, the little girl here, I think her name is Rose, she's watching the TV show Friends on her tablet here. First of all, they really stress the color blue here. So you see this, there's this blue tablet cover, and you've got blue headphones, and the car is colored blue. So again, they're signaling that blue moon, okay, the blue moon of August. And the next thing is that she's trying to watch Friends, and it doesn't work. I guess they have a bad connection. And so she asks her father if they can, next time they go to the city, if they could visit the coffee shop in Friends, and they show on the screen here that coffee shop right here. I think it's called Central Perk or something like that. And her dad tells her that this coffee shop isn't real and it's just a set. So what is this scene showing us? Well, it's showing us a lot of blue, like I mentioned, and then it's talking about coffee a lot. And coffee is a symbol that they use quite often in reference to a new moon. So if you look at a coffee cup, say from above, it's just like this dark circle, okay, which is what a new moon is, right? It's just this circle of darkness or blackness. So yeah, putting it all together, they're talking about the blue moon of August when it becomes a new moon. And then after that, in case you didn't get the hint that they're talking about something in the sky, after she gives up with her tablet, she takes her headphones out and she basically just stares at the sky.
Honey, it's just a set.
So right after that scene when they're talking about the new moon, they show a freeway exit, which is a common symbol that they use to represent the rapture, because it's kind of like an exit from the world. And they even reinforce that point because the name of this exit is Point Comfort, which could be symbolic for heaven. All right, so the next one that I want to show is Taylor Swift's Karma music video. I've covered this in the past. So right in the beginning of the music video, they show this record spinning, which is blue. So right away they're showing you the blue moon of August. And then around, I guess a little bit past the middle of the video, they show this scene right here with Taylor Swift and Ice Spice, and they are holding on to the moon and Saturn with lassos here. And the reason they show you these two heavenly bodies is they're going to refer to them again later on in the video, where they show you this coffee clock. And this clock is set to just before midnight. So what's important to pay attention to with this coffee clock are the positions of these thumbnails here with respect to the hours on the clock. The thumbnails represent planetary bodies, and they already showed us the 2 planetary bodies that are represented here earlier when they showed us the moon and Saturn. So the thumbnail on the left represents the moon, and the thumbnail on the right represents Saturn. And the thumbnail on the left is painted blue because it represents the blue moon of August. So now that we've established that, what do these hours on the clock mean? Well, they give you a hint a little bit when she sets this coffee clock down on a piano. And that's the hint because a piano has 88 keys and there are 88 constellations in the sky. So in that way, they're telling you that the hours on this coffee clock correspond to constellations. So there are 12 hours on this clock, and so this is corresponding to the 12 constellations on the Hebrew Mazzaroth, which you can see right here. This is the Hebrew Mazzaroth, the 12 constellations that go around the ecliptic, starting with Aries the Lamb and going counterclockwise from there. So then if you map those constellations to this coffee clock, you see that the position here where the blue thumbnail is, which represents the blue moon of August, is right at the Leo constellation here. So that's telling you the blue moon in Leo. And then this position up here where the black thumbnail, which represents Saturn, is up here where Aquarius is. So that's telling you Saturn in Aquarius. So then all you have to do is look in Stellarium to see on what date you have Saturn in Aquarius and a blue moon in Leo. So let's take a look. And you can see here that the moon is down here in Leo, and this is around the time of the new moon. So this is like September, I guess, 1st through 4th is when the blue moon will be in Leo. And you can see Saturn up here is in Aquarius. So you can see that this Karma music video is also pointing to the upcoming new moon. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is from the film Back to the Future. And so there's this scene at the beginning of the film where Marty sets his alarm clock radio to wake him up in the wee hours of the morning to go meet his friend Doc Brown at the mall parking lot. And he sets his alarm clock to wake him up at 12:27 a.m. And so they'll show here, they focus on the alarm clock radio and they show the time going from 12:27 to 12:28, which matches the dates of the 276 sign, which is a sign in the sun, moon, and stars that occurred at the end of last year, specifically from December 27th through into the 28th. And I talk about that sign extensively on my main channel. So they're referring to that sign in this film with this, when they show the alarm clock radio here with the time switching from 12:27 to 12:28 a.m. I'll show you that right here. Okay, so what are they showing you with that? Well, at 12:28 a.m. he wakes up and goes and meets his friend in the parking lot and goes 88 miles per hour and travels through time. And time travel is a symbol in films for the rapture. So what are they telling you here? So starting from the date of December 27th going into the 28th, 12:27 to 28 of 2023, which is the date of the 276 sign. If you go forward from that date, 8 months and 8 days, corresponding to the 88 miles per hour, it takes you to September 3rd of 2024, which is the date of the new moon. So what they might have been trying to show you is that from the date of the 276 sign, 12/27/23, once you reach 88 miles per hour, then you will travel through time, which is to say you will reach the date of the rapture. All right, so the next thing I want to look at is the film Donnie Darko from 2001. And Donnie Darko is the name of this main character here. That last name Darko is just a play on words because he represents the October 2nd annular eclipse. And if you look at an annular eclipse, it looks like this. It's got a thick ring around it. So that's why his name is Dark O, because it's like an O and the middle of it is dark, okay? And that's also given away in the movie by the fact that the film begins in the film time, it begins on October 2nd. So the first day in the film is October 2nd. And the upcoming annular eclipse is on October 2nd. So Donnie Darko, the character, represents the October 2nd, 2024 eclipse. Okay, so he wakes up in the middle of the night and he goes sleepwalking out of the house and into a local golf course where he meets a man in a bunny suit. He gives him this very cryptic message. And I'll just pull up a picture which shows it. So this bunny tells him, in 28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, and 12 seconds, that is when the world will end.
"28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, 12 seconds. That is when the world will end."
So, yeah, 28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, and 12 seconds from the October 2nd annular eclipse. And so most people would assume then that this means, okay, well, 28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, and 12 seconds after the October 2nd annular eclipse is when the world will end. And that's what they're telling us. But I think it's interesting that Satanists like to do things backwards. So what happens if we, instead of add that time to the October 2nd eclipse, but we subtract it instead? Well, let's take a look. If you go from the annular eclipse, October 2nd, 2024, and subtract 28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, we'll just leave the seconds out, calculate the date, that takes you to Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024, which again is the same date as the new moon that is coming up. Okay, so the last one I want to mention is the final Instagram post of Matthew Perry. And remember, I've talked about in the past how Matthew Perry is a sort of modern Methuselah, because just like Methuselah, his death is a trigger for God's judgment, which would come the same year, just like Methuselah. And so this is his final Instagram post, and it has this picture of him with the moon in the background, and the picture is tinted blue. So right there, he's sort of signaling the blue moon of August. And on top of that, in his final post, he wrote this cryptic expression or phrase, "I'm Matman." And if you punch that into a gematria calculator, it comes out to 104. And so then if you go from the date of his death forward by 10 months and 4 days for that 104, it takes you to September 1st of 2024, which is 1 day prior to the new moon. Or you can say that 10 months and 4 days after his death takes you to the last day of the blue moon.